Hi. So it's been a long time since I created a video. You may be wondering where I've been, what I've been up to, what I've been doing. So I guess all I can say is that I've been in this place where I've emerged from the darkness, much like a seed once it comes through the soil, right? So I was in this depression and despair and not seeing the beauty of life anymore, and really, honestly, not wanting to live anymore. I was in this darkness, confined in the soil, like a seed would be when it's first planted. And my world was doom and gloom. It was awful. It was really, really awful. And where I've been in the past, I don't know however many months it's been now, is in the light. Like, I emerged from the soil and I've been looking around, assessing my life and all the things that were creating darkness and ugliness in my existence, really, and deciding to walk away from those things, deciding to just go a different direction. Suddenly I could see the light, and I knew my path was to grow up, not stay right here in the dirt that I had just come out of, right? Sure, were there some beautiful things in that dirt that I encountered along that journey? Yes, and those things can stay in my existence, right? And they can transform with me. But other things, it's like, well, I don't like that anymore. I need to let go of it. Hello, Heather, let go of it. Dummy. Don't just stand there and keep repeating the same cycle, this vicious cycle of something you don't like and you don't enjoy, right? So if you imagine a plant as a seedling, that as it emerges from the soil, and then suddenly it's sprouting up, the green is sprouting up through the ground, and it's growing. Now there's some wind kind of trying to push it over here and then push it over here, and so it's not all just easy sailing straight up, right? You know, there's winds of change still happening and kind of navigating my existence. But it's just like, oh, I'm going to go this way and try this. Oh, no, I don't like that. So I'm going to try this. And oh, I like that. That was fun. I'm going to do a little bit more of that. And then, oh, yeah, I'm going to try this. And I am just growing. I'm continuing to put things in front of me that give me joy, that fill my cup, that make me smile. And you know, if you think about a plant and what happens, it grows, and it gets up, and then it suddenly knows all of the little things that it enjoys doing, and it blossoms into a beautiful flower, right? I feel like that's where I'm at now. I feel like I've changed my circumstances enough, and I'm continuing to just take steps toward things that I love. And one step towards something that I enjoy leads to 2 steps, which leads to 4 steps, which leads to 8 steps, to 16 steps, and so on, right? It's just, it multiplies until suddenly I've built a new reality around me. I'm living in my flower of existence for that time. And it feels beautiful. It feels refreshing. Yeah. My thoughts are just going in so many ways about all the things that I've learned over these past couple of years, because I spent a fair amount of years in the dark despair of my life. I don't want to get emotional about it because it actually feels very positive to me now. So even though it still hurts, I see the powerful beauty in it, right? Because I see that without that struggle, the flower wouldn't be as beautiful, you know? So take, for example, a tree, all right? And the roots of a tree under the ground, under the soil. Now imagine that tree is in a potted plant, okay? It's in a pot, it's in a pot. The tree is in a pot. And now the root system has grown so much that it's constricted in the pot. It can't grow anymore. It's just struggling to survive. Like, it feels like at this point it's drowning itself. Well, there's really only two options for the tree at that point. It needs to transform or die, you know, or be repotted. So by transforming, now suddenly, okay, it can flower or create fruit or you know, wither, or it can be taken out of that pot and put into soil in the ground with much more room for its roots to grow, hence allowing more room for it to grow up top. Because once it runs out of room in the root system, in the darkness, it can no longer grow in the light. I mean, it can transform, it can shed its leaves and transform flower and that kind of thing, but it can't literally grow anymore. But if you take that root system out and move it to a bigger root system, it has more room to grow bigger and grander, right? So think of that in your circumstances, whatever you are experiencing. When you get to a place of depression or anger or stress or anxiety, any of those dark feelings and expressions of ourself, we are reaching our limits within the confined environment and circumstances that we're in right now. What's around us, people, places, things, experiences, all of it is coming into play. So the only way to change those feelings that you're having is to loosen the restrictions around you, to loosen the binds that have us tied down, the job that's day in and day out the exact same thing, the same voices in our head telling us the same messages over and over and over again. You know, whether it be from our spouse or our friend or our teachers or our priests or whatever, whomever is in our environment, whatever messages that we're hearing, our soul, our true humanness is craving growth. It is craving new circumstances. So sometimes you can do that with the same people around you, just through having conversations and pivoting together. And sometimes you have to completely wipe the slate clean and start fresh, right? So think about your dreams. However big your dreams are, that's proportional to how big of changes you need to make. You know, if the dream that you've always had and what you want to accomplish, you feel like is just right there, like you're so close, you don't have a lot of change left. You don't need to change your circumstances drastically to get there because you're almost there. But if your dream where you want to be seems like almost unachievable, or yeah, that would be when pigs fly, or something like that. If those dreams are that, you can still achieve them. You just have to make bigger changes. You have to take yourself out of the pond that you're swimming in and put yourself in the ocean and swim in the ocean for a while. And you have more room to grow and flourish and develop and achieve your bigger dreams. So, I guess you could say that's where I'm at. Is changing my circumstances, moving around, and exploring what else is out there. I mean, many of you saw that I traveled far and wide, and I didn't even know what I was searching for. I mean, no idea. I just picked up things along the way that fed my soul or caused me more pain, just depending on what it was. And so now I'm just figuring out what is the stamp that I want to put on this world. What is the offering that I have? And when I think of offering, one second, hey Siri, pause. Explore how Under Armour can help you. Sorry, I had the music going in the background. So figuring out what is my offer to the world, what is it that I want that to be? And we don't always know, right? But think of your offering as your flower. So when the plant blooms into this beautiful flower, it's what it's offering the world, okay? And we don't even necessarily know that we're offering anything to the world, to other people. But now imagine the bee, for example. A bee comes along and lands on your flower. You may not even notice it's landed on you. You may not even notice. You're busy doing other things. You didn't even notice that bee landed on you and grabbed a little small piece of nectar from your flower and then flew off. And it stopped at many, many other flowers and grabbed a little nectar from them and went back to its beehive and went to work creating honeycomb, right? So it took a little of you and a little of all these other flowers, and then it went back and it built its fruit, its offering to the world. And then the beekeeper, it sees this delicious honey that this bee made, and it comes along and it takes a little bit of honey off the honeycomb, not enough to kill the swarm of bees, but just enough to enjoy what the bees created and left the bees with what they needed to survive. And now this beekeeper has bottled up this honey, and now this honey is in stores for us to buy. And then here I go in the store to buy my honey, and I grab a cup of tea and I'm making my tea. And when I'm drinking that tea, I'm not thinking of the whole cycle of life and how that blessing came back around to me, because it came back in a completely different form than I released it out into the environment, into the ethers, right? That bee that landed on that flower grabbed a little of that sweetness and a little of that sweetness and a little of that sweetness, much like people that we come into contact with, right? So I don't know, maybe I'm sitting here rambling about all these realizations that I've had in my life as I talk to people, and people might look at me like I'm a little bit crazy, but maybe they get just a little nugget of information from what I say, and then helps them go back and take whatever necessary step that they've been stuck. And then that little step goes into that little step, and I'm never going to see the trickle effect that my actions played on other people, both good and bad. I shouldn't say I'm never going to see, because maybe down the line I will see some of it, but it will trickle its way back into our life. We just may not recognize it as being the same, right? Like the honey, for example. How often do we really think about everything that had to come into play for that honey to be right there on your spoon and going in your tea? We don't, not very often. So, my journey has been on this emergence, if you will, emerging from the darkness, scoping out all the beauty and the light and the what I love around me, what things that I've found that I enjoy, and what things have I found that I don't enjoy, and kind of playing that bouncy ball back and forth, bouncing to the things I like and away from the things I don't like, and to the things I like and away from the things I don't like. Much like the zebra stripes. Like I've got a picture of it here. In fact, I've got a picture of a zebra. I don't know if you can see that. And my living room, and I don't even know what made me choose that photo, but as I was having these realizations, I looked at that zebra and went, yeah, the perfect balance between things that push us to grow and things that we enjoy. It's a dance. So I guess I'm in a lot better place. I'm not going to say that every one of my days are rosy, because they're not. But I have a lot more bright, beautiful, rosy days than I had a year ago. Yeah. So, from me to you, peace, love, let's see if I can get that right, love and happiness. That's what it's all about. Peace, love, and happiness. And you know, I had another thought today, and that was, if you really want to appreciate someone at their best, at their peak flowering, if you really want to appreciate that, have compassion with them when they're in their darkness, when they're in their struggle. Be that beacon of light for them in that darkness, because that is a direct reflection of how dark of a place that they're in is a direct correlation with the equal amount of pure bliss and joy they will be when they come out on the other side. So hold space for them when they're in those times of darkness and struggle and despair and those things that we label as mental illness. It's not illness, it's growth. It is part of growth. It's not illness. It's not sickness. It is part of the process. And if we want to witness the sheer magnitude and beauty on the other side of it, we need to be there and just offer a kind smile, a shoulder to lean on, a laugh, just any amount of compassion that you can muster for them when they're going through whatever it is you don't understand, because your world is different than theirs, right? So if I have a piece of advice out there for anyone, that would be what it is. And that's advice for myself too. It's not just advice for other people. I see that for myself now too. It's kind of hard to be around someone that's in that struggle. So I get it. I see why I felt so isolated when I was in my depths of darkness, because who wants to be around somebody when they're crying all the time and reaching and seeking, and it's hard. It's heavy. It feels heavy. But when you can, you certainly don't want to be drugged down by the other person, but when you can just hold a softness and a space in your heart while they go through their struggle, when they come out on the other side, you'll be one of the people that they remember brought them joy in their struggle, even if it was just a smile. Okay. I don't know how I got on another soapbox when I was getting ready to end the video, but I did. So hopefully all of that made sense. And if it's just rambling, well, there's my rambling for the day. Okay. Take care. Peace, love, and happiness.